Hello and thank you for tuning into this live edition of VTV News. You're with me, Ling Hung from Hanoi, and here come our top stories. ASEAN and Canadian ministers this morning met with the ASEAN-Canada Business Council as part of the 47th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting. The National Wage Council convened the second meeting to discuss minimum regional wage increases in 2016. And math lovers in Hanoi met two Fields Middle East, Ngo Bao Chiu and Cedric Villani. First up, ASEAN and Canadian ministers this morning met with the ASEAN-Canada Business Council as part of the 47th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting held in the Malaysian capital of Kuala Lumpur. At the event, the minister approved the Economic Cooperation Program, which will last for 5 years, with the aim to support small and medium-sized enterprises in ASEAN. The ASEAN ministers and the ASEAN-Canada Business Council also agreed to double the current trade turnover of 19 billion Canadian dollars between the two sides by 2020. The National Wage Council convened the second meeting to discuss minimum regional wage increases in 2016. The first meeting, which took place 3 weeks ago, failed to reach an agreement. The General Confederation of Labour proposed an increase of 16% in the minimum wage. This means increases of 350,000 to 500,000 dong, or $15 to $22 a month, depending on the regions. Meanwhile, Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or VCCI, put forward an increase of 10%. According to the General Confederation of Labour, a minimal increase in the minimum wage will have almost no effect on the living standards of a large number of workers, meaning they will have to work overtime to make a reasonable wage. The VCCI unsurprisingly claimed the trade union-backed increase would be a burden on enterprises as they have to spend much more on wages and insurance. Domestic and international experts attended a workshop in Hanoi on August 24th to exchange opinions on development planning in Vietnam and feedback on the draft law on planning. One of the notable points was that a regional plan is needed to utilize each locality's advantages while reduce overlapping.
Vietnam currently has many types of regional plan, including the Central Highlands Plan until 2030 and the Mekong Delta Master Plan on socio-economic development. However, according to international experts at the workshop, these plans are not specific enough.
The big problem is the ones that are done are narrow-focused, and a regional plan has to be broadly focused. Even in the Mekong Delta, there are differences. And so they have to have regard to all aspects.
We don't have regional management authorities, so we need the cooperation of all stakeholders. It will require a lot of commitments from them to implement efficient planning.
Solutions for these difficulties were discussed so that they could be included in the draft planning law. For example, for the Delta regions, each province planning can have a knock-on effects on nearby provinces. Therefore, according to the new draft, related ministries should propose a detailed regional plan to avoid this situation.
It is crucial that we can create linkage among plans and enhance coordination among ministries, departments and localities. The government will need to step up its role in coordinating different localities in the region. Each locality should draft their own plan, suitable with their situations, and test to see if it will work out. Then they need to propose that plan to a regional manager to develop a detailed plan for the whole region.
Detailed and effective regional plan focus on regional links and cooperation in both short and long term. It will gradually solve socio-economic problems of each provinces, as well as the whole region, and develop their advantages.
In some economic news, the global crude oil price has declined to around $40 per barrel, marking a dramatic slump from the previous $100 per barrel price tag that the Vietnamese Ministry of Finance used to calculate budget revenue estimates for this year. What's notable is that crude oil export accounts for about 10% of the total state budget revenue of the country.
Tax revenues from oil and gas trading make up 15% of Vietnam Customs' total budget revenue. The General Department calculated that it would collect about $550 million less than the year start estimate if the crude oil price stayed at $60 per barrel as in the past 6 months. They never imagined that the price could drop as low as $40.
Vietnam Customs are closely monitoring the global price movements to make calculations and propose timely solutions to make up for the lower revenues from crude oil sale.
Vietnam's state budget revenue was estimated at $40.4 billion this year, with the revenue from crude oil expected to be a tenth of that sum. However, these figures were based on a crude oil price of $100 per barrel. The recent price drop has come as a shock to the state budget, especially since it ran a deficit of $4.4 billion in the first 7 months.
The government calculated that for every dollar in price reduction, the state budget's revenue will be fallen by $1 trillion, or $44 million. If the oil price continues to decline, the deficit will be higher. The state budget relies heavily on crude oil. That's the biggest issue. However, this is also a chance to review budget spending.
The lower crude oil prices also mean that the prices of many input materials in retail petrol will decrease. Manufacturers and consumers can benefit from this.
Energy accounts for a large proportion of production costs. As energy prices fall, the production costs are lower and ultimately, consumers benefit from cheaper goods. In a way, it is like a stimulus package for the economy.
Experts say that to make up for the lower revenues from crude oil, the government might consider issuing bonds.
The State Bank of Vietnam has increased the average interbank exchange rate between the Vietnamese dong and US dollar, as well as widened the trading band of Vietnamese dong per US dollar by 1%. Following this decision, the consumer price index could edge up. However, experts say that inflation should be kept under control and Vietnamese goods can become more competitive. More to follow. According to the State Bank of Vietnam, the volatility in the foreign exchange market in recent days was caused mostly by psychological factors and possibly currency speculation. The central bank vowed to stabilize exchange rates at any cost. The State Bank of Vietnam forecasted the devaluation of the Chinese yuan. We prepared this in advance and can guarantee that this adjustment will improve the competitiveness of our goods. The Vietnamese dong will be more flexible to changes in the domestic and global markets. We will ensure not to adjust the exchange rate in the last months of 2015 and the beginning of 2016. In theory, the increased exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and US dollars means that enterprises will need to use more dong to buy US dollars. The price of some commodity that use imported materials will rise as a consequence. Yet most of these goods have tended to fall in price or only increase marginally due to the drop in global oil prices. As such, the exchange rate adjustment will not affect inflation much. The country's CPI for the first 8 months now stands at just 0.68%.
The impact on the growth rate will be minimal, but I believe that the consumer price index will rise since the current CPI is really low. A rise of, say, 1% will be completely controllable.
Increasing the average interbank exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and US dollars by 1% and widening the trading band to 3% are the state bank's moves to protect the country's export position.
Experts believe that the foreign exchange market will not likely to experience big changes in the coming time.
The changes in the Chinese yuan's exchange rates, along with the increase of the US dollar against the dong, have affected many Vietnamese firms, particularly those operating in the export sector. How are Vietnamese businesses affected, and what solutions should they take in this situation? The Fund Report has more.
This company specializes in producing fabric for domestic garment and textile companies. So far, companies like this have yet to be affected by the currency exchange rates. However, experts say that they will suffer losses in the future as almost all materials for the industry are imported from China. Meanwhile, losses has been seen clearly in export companies. This paper material manufacturing company shipped 150,000 tons of its product to Japan for more than $10 million in the first half of this year, and the transacted currency is in US dollar. The changes have affected its earnings.
Our revenue is denominated in US dollars, so we borrow money and repay banks in US dollars. The increasing exchange rate between Vietnamese dong and US dollars will increase our costs. If the exchange rate keeps going up, it will be difficult for us to raise capital in both US dollars and Vietnamese dong.
While waiting for more support measures from the authorities, local exporters should take more initiative in coping with the challenges, some business people have said.
We've thought of our own solutions. For example, we don't receive cards from our partners. We also have boosted our cash liquidity. Finally, we have started taking loans in Vietnamese dong.
Experts say in order to cope with adjustments in currency rates, businesses should enhance their own competitive edge apart from relying on the government. For exporters, they should consider applying new technology, assessing new markets, and finding new sources of materials and choosing strong currencies when it comes to payments for their long-term plans.
Moving on with other news, the project to upgrade and expand the 140 kilometers of National Highway 1A in the southern central province of Khánh Hòa is nearing completion nearly 3 months earlier than planned. The $440 million project kicked off in December 2013 and was divided into 4 packages. Traffic safety measures are being strengthened as signage and lane barriers have not yet been installed. The 2015 Vietnam International Fisheries Exhibition and Trade Fair, or VietFish, opened on Monday in Ho Chi Minh City. The 3-day exhibition, organized by the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers, has drawn 190 businesses from the seafood processing, machinery and equipment manufacturing industries, as well as related services. Apart from domestic companies, this year's fair has also attracted exhibitors from India, United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, the US and Japan, amongst others. A number of seminars are also being held at the event to discuss the opportunities provided by Vietnam's membership of several new trade agreements. Now, over 50,000 promotional products will be sold at an online autumn shopping day on Friday, August 28th. The online autumn shopping will focus on promotional items matching with product categories related to the National Day and school season, such as fashion, electronics, household appliances, books and stationery, laptop, mobile, gifts through the website www.onlinefriday.vn. Consumers have more chances to get many incentives and promotions offered by more than 500 leading e-commerce enterprises, such as door-to-door delivery services, discounts, golden hour promotions, and gifts. This event is seen as an opportunity to enhance benefits for consumers shopping and expand branding opportunities for businesses in Vietnam. And now let's take a look at the updated foreign exchange rates. Coming up next on VTV News, math lovers in Hanoi met two fields medalists, Ngo Bảo Châu and Cedric Villani. Later on, we'll take a glimpse into the Hmong Market Day in Hanoi to find out how community tourism can help improve the lives of the ethnic Hmong people. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng just recognized Tân Hiệp Commune in Hội An Town and Tam Hải Commune in Núi Thành District, Quảng Nam Province as island communes. Tân Hiệp Commune covers an area of 1,500 hectares with nearly 600 farming households with a population of nearly 2,300 households. Tam Hải Commune stretches over 1,300 hectares with a population of 7,300. After this recognition, these two communes will get preferential policies currently applied to island communes. The joint efforts of over 25,000 rice farming households and 1,300 agricultural engineers from An Giang Plant Protection Company has received the Guinet Vietnam certificate for the largest farmer backing task force. The certificate was granted at a ceremony in the Mekong Delta province of Đồng Tháp. The task force has been running since 2006. The agricultural engineers have been eating, living, and working with farmers across Vietnam to apply advanced technology to improve the quality and yield of agro-produce. Such collaboration has brought about Vietnam's first ever large-scale rice fields all over the Mekong Delta and sketched out Vietnam's first rice value chain. Pollution, soil degradation, and decreased biodiversity are among the results of the overuse of chemicals in farming practice. Vietnam is now opting for a greener solution, and organic farming is one of the favored options. In our next story, we'll meet the central province of Thừa Thiên Huế, where organic farming is becoming increasingly popular.
Guava, dragon fruits, rice and fish, all are grown and raised organically in a closed circle, from seed selection to harvesting.
All of our products from rice to green tea and vegetables are grown here in an organic way. Diseases are treated with herbal alternatives instead of chemicals. This is extremely safe and totally organic.
Thanks to its vast benefits, organic farming methods have been increasingly adopted in Thừa Thiên Huế province. This organic farm spans over 3 hectares with numerous kinds of fruits and vegetables. It also has more than 10 hectares devoted to organic rice. Straw is utilized to produce micro-organic fertilizers.
Organic farming has become a global trend. Everyone is looking for green and safe products. So we think that the food we eat must be good for our health.
Thừa Thiên Huế province is famous for its ecotourism industry, so developing organic farming is considered a foundation for driving local tourism forward.
We need organic products to support service at our famous tourist site. We need to protect the agriculture ecosystem here, as many of tourists choose to come here because of our environment. So what we should do is to ensure that our environment and cultural practices are free of chemicals, fertilizers, and herbicide.
Not only does organic farming boost the value of agricultural produce, but it is also a better solution for the environment. With a decrease in the use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and growth stimulants, Thừa Thiên Huế province is set for a more sustainable agricultural industry.
29 children in the central region are getting cleft lip and palate repair surgery for free as part of a charity project sponsored by Smart Chain, an international children's charity. From August 24th to the 27th, doctors from the Children's Hospital 1 and the Hospital for Women and Children in Da Nang are performing the operations on children aged 3 months to 6 years. Each operation is priced at $250. Since July 2013, over 150 children have received free cleft lip and palate surgery through the charity program. The initiative also provides training for young doctors and supplies medical tools and equipment for this type of surgery. Dong Nai Province initiated a fund to help prisoners reintegrate into society back in 2010. Through this policy, the local authority has called for sponsorship from the local business community. After 5 years of its implementation, the fund has been able to help former prisoners develop their businesses and transform their lives. More to follow in our next report.
This ceremony was launched to grant loans for 12 local newly released prisoners. Under this policy, each person can borrow up to $1,500 over a 3-year period, with a preferential interest rate of just 3% per annum.
I will use the money to raise more cattle and hope that can improve our lives. I'm thankful for the support of the authority and sponsors. I cannot undo the past, but I can change the future.
Vũ Văn Hoành was given $1,000 in loans to buy these goats a year ago. After more than a year, his herd has doubled to 12 goats. This has enabled him to improve his family income.
Our income was improved and life is easier to us. Former inmates, due to social stigma, find it very hard to find and maintain employment. So we understand their difficulties and have created a fund to help them by calling for support from businesses and the public.
According to local authority, the policy had raised finance from over 400 local enterprises after 5 years. $600,000 have been raised, helping over 600 people to borrow money. More importantly, no criminal recidivism has been recorded in the former prisoners participating in the program. This is considered a major first step in the locality's effort to support former inmates reintegrate into society, helping to curb crime in the province.
Math lovers in Hanoi had the chance to meet two Fields medalists yesterday. The highly recognized math pioneers Ngo Bảo Châu and Cedric Villani paid a visit to the capital city. Let's now take a look at the following report to see what they've shared with Vietnamese students.
Cedric Villani is a professor at Lyon University and director of the Henri Poincaré Institute in Paris. French-Vietnamese Ngo Bảo Châu works at the University of Chicago and is also chairman of the Vietnam Institute for Advanced Study in Mathematics. The two professors won the Fields Medal in 2010 and have made great contribution to education sector in France and Vietnam.
Ngo Bảo Châu
and I both went to the same university, the École Normale Supérieure, the home of many scientists who won Fields Medal. We are both passionate about maths and that has connected us.
And for the first time, the two mathematicians shared this passion with young people in Hanoi. At the event, they talked about their adventures in maths, shared their experience in learning and understanding maths issues.
Here in Vietnam, many people learn math, but not many actually understand and love the subject. So I came here today to learn more about the application of maths in daily life and hope to be inspired by leading mathematicians.
Cedric Villani has a project of building a maths museum with maths-related games for people of all ages. That can trigger a love for maths.
Vietnamese students have won many high prizes in International Maths Olympics. However, the teaching of the subject is still said to need improvement.
A person's value lies not only in one's ability in maths or public speaking or so on, but he or she needs to develop many other skills and learn about many things. So I think we should enhance the diversity in Vietnam's education so that everybody can develop their full potential.
During his first visit to Vietnam, Professor Villani has held talks with many local mathematicians to boost cooperation between Vietnam and France. Vietnam is considered to have many math talents, therefore a suitable education approach will further help Vietnamese students to develop their potential in the subject, as well as other scientific fields.
The 6th German Film Festival is being held at the Goethe Institute in Hanoi from September 12 to 18, showing a selection of the newest and most successful films from Germany. 8 films from different genres, including fantasy, drama, adventure, thrillers, and comedy, will be screened to offer entertainment for all ages. These films are top box office films introduced at the Berlin and other international film festivals. The festival aims to portray the diversity of German cinema to the Vietnamese public and to provide Vietnamese cinema goers with an insight into the Central European country. A Hmong Market Day, typically found in the northwestern region of Vietnam, just took place on Monday in Hanoi. This is part of the community tourism training project carried out by the Pacific Asia Travel Association Foundation, Canada's Capilano University, and Hanoi Open University. Let's follow this report to find out how this form of tourism will help improve the lives of the ethnic Hmong people.
Lý Thị My, along with 10 other Hmong, have for the first time come to Hanoi for training. They have been participating in tourism activities for years. However, they have never received any training in tourism or sales, nor do they understand English. Therefore, the project Community-Based and Sustainable Tourism Training in Vietnam, also known as CBT Vietnam, was initiated to teach these Hmong the basics about tourism.
Skills that we're teaching these women in our project include product development, entrepreneurship, teach them some presentation skills, teach them collective marketing, and we also teach them stuff about how to protect the environment.
After the training courses, the Hmong now know how to perform online sales, and everyone has their own business cards for tourism activities. Thanks to homestay tourism, many Hmong families have successfully preserved the craft of brocade making and are more determined to protect the forest for sustainable tourism.
I want to see more tourists coming to our village for homestay. That way we can make more money.
It is the first time that a Hmong Market Day has been organized in Hanoi, selling their signature product, brocade fabrics, and it marks a good beginning. Hopefully, after this project, community tourism will start to flourish in the northwestern region.
And I want to have my own business to help my family too. It's not very easy, but if we all work together, I'm sure that we can do it.
VTV News will now continue with the weather updates. And that has wrapped up this live edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for being with us. For more updates, please log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go. And for now, goodbye from Hanoi.